All right, this is definitely a change of pace for the streams. Normally we are gaming and whatnot, but you know, I think that we all need to just have a little bit of a break from that kind of stuff, you know. It's nice to be able to kind of slow down, I guess. Welcome to the reading stream. I will be honest, I don't often read, mainly just because I don't have a lot of interest in it. But I think today, in this piece of literature in general, has a big significance to the overall community itself. Thank you for the background music. If you'd like to add some more stuff to the music selection, I'm actually here. Give me a second. If you're in the Discord, please come to the Discord real quick, and I'm gonna be making a thread for our mixtape channel, and I'm gonna do some stream suggestion music. All right, yeah. The thread should be made. Join the Discord for my channel. Welcome, for Elemental. A lot more people here than yesterday, and I apologize for the audio stuff from yesterday, the Monster Hunter stream. Where is this? It should be in... Should have made it in the mixtape. No, I made it in the new video drops. My fault. Because I want to get like a... I want to get a big, like, reading OST playlist if we're going to be doing this. Because there's 40 chapters. There is 40 chapters. In the description for you joined the Discord for, like, you know, being part of the community, and if you want to listen to some good OSTs while I'm reading, then by all means put in some suggestions in the thread. It should be under the new video drops. It is kind of Minecraft music. There's some Siva Gunner rips in here as well. Here. The Siva Gunner rip was, I believe it was, what was it? It was a rip on Wet Hands from Minecraft, but also one of the Omori songs. We already have one suggestion. Hopefully that's a little bit more, like, easily heard. But welcome, everybody. Welcome. We are going to be reading Distortion Detective today. I have yet to actually read it before. And I am kind of excited for it. And I hope that a lot of other people are excited for it, because I don't think I've seen many people reading Distortion Detective. Did I do my dailies? I did not do my dailies in Limbus. I probably should. But you know what? This is more important. All right? This is definitely more important. So if it's a lot of people's first time reading, of course you're allowed to suggest more than one piece of music. I'm trying to build a whole playlist here. Send like YouTube links. Make sure it's not copyrighted, because I don't want to have to deal with more copyright stuff. The Aleph video was already kind of copyrighted from right at the end there, with that nice piano thing that went on. I think it was L'amore di ciao. Yeah, that was unfortunately copyrighted, but I didn't care. I just wanted to have something sound nice in that instance. I just don't want to get copyright struck. But I haven't seen a lot of people read Distortion Detective, at least on here, or a lot of Distortion Detective content. So hopefully this will actually bring a little bit more attention to it. And I'm not trying to, like, with what I'm about to say, I'm not trying to, like, make myself sound cooler than I actually am, or I'm not trying to brag. I literally am not. But somebody literally said, oh my god, I believe it was in a Discord server. Somebody said, "Oh, you're that one YouTuber with the sexy voice." And I'm like, "Oh. Well, thank you. This will be my background noise for drawing, I guess." Well, glad that you can listen to your audiobooks then. I will probably make lots of mistakes. Let's see, with that, why don't we get into today's book? The Distortion Detective, Chapter 1. I can see the distortion. I can see the distortion. And the distortion can occur to anyone. I don't exactly know who coined the term distortion for the phenomenon, but people just started calling it that at some point. No one knows how it works, but the experience so far suggests that this phenomenon is a manifestation of strong emotional desires and explosive surges of feelings. The pianist, who, or rather, which wreaked havoc on District 9, is known as one of the most notable cases of the distortion. Not many are aware that the smaller cases of the distortion are happening here, and they are across the city even now. A person turning into a fish and another one's eyes being dyed with the hues of the sky are two such examples. The distortion appears to me as visual distortions in a literal sense. Although I can see them, they aren't tangible. In the case of the person whose upper body gradually turned into that of a fish, I could clearly observe scales growing on their body, yet when I touch their skin, I can only feel the soft sensation of a normal human skin. Hearing this much, one might think that distortion is merely an illusion. Well, that would mean I'm simply delusional and suffering from hallucinations. However, I've taken up this job because that is not the case. I'm just turning off my audio for the stream, like my phone notifications. Want to have this be a nice ASMR experience. I am chasing after the distortion. It's secretive, yet explicit, and proceeds slowly. For example, the fifth person I mentioned earlier, who was dubbed the Merfolk, underwent gradual changes, such as having their eyes protrude, gills appear and scales grow out of their skin. When their upper body is almost completely morphed into the form of a fish, the change physically manifested in a moment's notice. Only then could others see what had become of the merfolk, and physically feel the fishy features of their body. The merfolk, case number 5, was originally a villager in District 19's fishing hamlet, who was subject to constant abuse. It seemed that they spent most of their time staring into the Great Lake, yearning to escape from their current life. My conclusion is that they desired to be free from their agonies and saw the lake as a getaway, and that strong longing for water ultimately distorted them into the merfolk. Of course, there are many other complicated factors involved, but I'll omit the details since the merfolk is not the main subject of my story. Well, my work is to look out for the cases of the distortion and prevent them. In fact, the progress of the distortion varies for each person. Ever since I gained this ability to see the omens of the distortion with my eyes, I cannot see a single person who is not distorted in one way or the other. So I actually didn't know that the distortion, the outside person couldn't, feel the differences. They could obviously see them, but I did not know that that was the case. What ego weapons do you wield anyway? This is actually this is my custom ego that I made for the LobCorp Presents series that I had made. The ego gifts are obviously White Knight and Apocalypse Birds. But I was kind of inspired by some clothes in my own closet and made me look kind of like a rancher. And the jacket was loosely inspired off of the Tough ego, because that was my beta profile picture design. I like the coat. I like the coat a lot. Once again, I don't have a deeper understanding of the phenomenon or anything. I simply started seeing it one day, and could notice it earlier than others. Since I can see the signs in advance, I do my best to warn people to take preventative measures before it manifests. That is my job. I was hired by a firm that had lost several of its staff to the so-called Ascension incident, and sought out by the employees whose eyes were filled with the sky's colors. The firm advised them to wear sunglasses. The idea to give them sunglasses so that they couldn't keep the scenery of the sky in their eyes was so outlandish, it made me chuckle. The sky no longer being blue for them didn't have much positive impact on their boring lives, but at least they didn't evaporate anymore. Where did the Mosin Nagant come from? I have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, ads. I'll wait. Just, for those of you that have ads, let me know. Let me know whenever you're back. It was weird, because I put the ads on conservative. It's already starting. We are, 2 minutes in. Or, 15 minutes in. Conservative, my ass. Oh, the gun on my back. Yeah, that was a secondary part of it. I thought that having an axe and a gun was pretty cool. The idea was kind of inspired from Little Red's ego whenever she has a pistol, pistols attached to her, knives and whatnot. I love it. We good. The volume difference just scared the crap out of me. I'm sorry. Let's see, where were we? The people who used to look up at the sky started looking down instead. Perhaps they wanted to get closer to the sky by going up to the rooftop. Or maybe they were just one of the many who chose to jump to death. The city isn't too interested in what happens after a case has been solved. All they need to know is if the deaths were understandable or not. I'm not a charity worker, so I don't bother into looking into cases of the distortion. I wasn't asked to investigate either. Did I take Kogito or something? No, I actually did. In the lore I manifested ego. Watch the series. It's pretty good. A lot of people tell me that it's pretty good. I wouldn't know. I haven't seen it before. Case number 13, Balloon People. This case was rather explosive. I titled this case Balloon People because people's heads quite literally expanded like balloons until they went pop. This cold explosion would cover everything within a 10-meter radius. with blood and blow to pieces everyone in its range as well. A company in O-Corp's Nest finally asked for my help after suffering 5 instances of those balloon people. After some investigation, I found that all the occurrences of the Distortion had one thing in common. They all worked in the service industry. To interpret a distortion, you need to combine multiple pieces of evidence. This process consists of 4 steps: cause, explanation, understanding, and acknowledgement. First, investigate the possible causes of the distortion and construct a clear explanation that covers the causal relationship in a convincing manner. Then, make the subject understand why they're going through the distortion, and have them acknowledge that they could fully distort at this rate. If all of these steps succeed, the case is closed. The distortion is considered solved if the subject regresses to a form that looks human enough to me. To those who became the balloon people, used to work in emotionally intense fields such as delivery carriers, nurses, and call center clerks. Particularly, call center clerks had the largest average explosion radius of 16 meters. What? It's an odd detail. Some inquiries revealed that another company had subcontracted all customer service calls to one call center. The clerk's job was to record the claims from clients and send those records to that company. Can I turn myself up a little? I can try? Hold on. 1 second. I gotta go in Discord for this. Does this sound better? Kind of? I think I just kind of... No. Hold on. Maybe... Does this sound like... It shouldn't be going over the music now. Or it should be going over the music. Let me see if I can go to my settings real quick. I don't think I can turn myself up even more. Unfortunately. You might just have to turn up your volumes. You might, yeah. I mean, if that's the case. I mean, y'all can still hear my voice, right? I know that my Discord isn't picking it up. So it's not, you're not going to be seeing that. Let me check something on Discord again. Volume is at max? I don't really know what to say then. What do I think about the new Dawn Ego? I like it. I like it a lot, actually. It's very... How do I put it? Is sexy the right word? Because I think that Dawn might be a child. I don't know. Alright, you can hear me. You can hear me. Good. I'll start... I'll just read a little bit louder. Let's see. Let's start the paragraph over, because I think I might have, I lost myself there. Those who became the balloon people used to work in emotionally intense fields such as delivery carriers, nurses, and call center clerks. Particularly, call center clerks had the largest average explosion radius of 16 meters. Some inquiries revealed that another company had subcontracted all customer service calls to one call center. The clerk's job was to record the claims from clients and send those records to that company. The problem lay in this process. The call center clerks lacked any expertise in the subjects of those complaints, yet they had to endure heaps of insults from their clients, even though there was no use lashing out at them. The clerks were treated like emotional garbage cans, hearing all kinds of abusive language and even threats from clients. In the book, Dawn was 40. That does not look like your average 40-year-old. That is not your average 40-year-old. All right. Okay. All Limbus centers are 20 plus since they're fixers. All right. Yeah. Sexy is the correct word then. Service workers are compelled to put on a smile and cheery voice while being a punching bag for others, having no way to vent out their own distress. Such distress would naturally accumulate over time. This resulted in their heads inflating like balloons. All the while they maintained a facade of serenity. They'd end up exploding once their stress reached a breaking point. From that point, my work is simple. I made a list of clerks whose head appeared inflated I made a list of clerks whose heads appeared inflated to me and sent that to the company. Those clerks then lost their jobs. The company didn't bother investing any time or effort into shrinking their heads. My work often ends before I can end the stages of understanding and acknowledgement. Let's see. Simply interpreting the distortion doesn't resolve the fundamental issue. Their stress is bound to explode in one way or another. However, such matters didn't concern my clients much. All they cared about was maintaining this abnormal status quo and evading responsibility for the distortion, not the cause behind it. I suppose the same can be said of me. I can't help but keep thinking that we're all missing something important. I believe I'll be chasing after the distortion for a while, as every single thing appears distorted in my eyes. Right now, I'm looking into a mirror. To my eyes, I'm the only one who doesn't appear distorted. In a world full of distorted people, could the one person who remains unchanged be the distorted one? As I look at all the distorted people, the distorted streets, and this distorted city, I come to think that maybe the whole world is distorted. I can't fathom what would happen once the distortion of this world continues and reaches a critical point. Until then, I'll stay ever vigilant for the distortion. I am the Distortion Detective. Title drop! Title drop! Oh my god, this guy actually really gives a good insight about the entire phenomenon itself, much better than the games actually did. Also got my drink on me with you, you know? Let's see. All limit centers are 20 plus. I don't think that they are actually fixers, now that I think about it. They're not necessarily fixers because they don't necessarily work for a fixer office. They work for a company. And that's chapter 1. To all the new people coming in, welcome. We just finished up chapter 1, so if you want to catch up, you can go ahead and rewind a bit. And if you're currently reading this in post, along with me, glad to have you here as well. Dawn does have a fixer ID, though, I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to think of all the IDs that she has. I don't think she has an office ID specifically. I'm going to take some time before we read the next chapter together to add some OST stuff. So, I'll be RB. Give me a second, too. That's right. Y'all can see that shite. Alright, I think that should fix it. That might have also fixed the, some of the audio issues that y'all were just experiencing. I added a couple things to the, reading OST, so you might see, some good stuff. Yeah, there's, like, just a few things. Alright, welcome back. Welcome back, though. Welcome back. Let's see, what's chat talking about right now? Oh, yeah, so the Dawn ID, yeah, for Sync Association and C Association. Forgot about that. Ishmael's definitely at least a grade 9. I think that she might arguably be more now. I think all the centers are probably a lot more. Especially since they have their own, sort of ego. Remember, like, not all fixers are, like, incredible at combat prowess. Like, hell, what about the, that, one office that was, like, that included all the, the investigative office, the spyglass office, I think it was called, no, that's the wrong one. With Dalek, Alec. Forgot about those guys. All right, let's get back to the chapters, though. You idiot, I quietly murmured, grinding my teeth. Ezra had done it again. I told her numerous times not to ask sensitive questions to the subject of distortions. Ezra then whispered to me, "Wah, detective, what do we do?" I'm sorry, Chef. My niece isn't very streetwise yet, you see. Oh, you lovely young sprout. What do you mean with detective? Are you seeing stuff again? Poor little thing. So you were just a couple of nut jobs. If you disrupt my business with bullocks again, I'm gonna call security. Gay's office, that's the one. The master chef yelled, although this restaurant was too small and shabby for such luxurious titles. Yes, I'll teach my little gal here to behave. Are you insane? Did you really have to say out loud? Wow, the food here is just as disgusting as the sanitation. Who taught you to cook? In a small restaurant that's not seeing too many guests. But it really did taste horrible. You think we're here to enjoy the food? You're supposed to carefully look around for clues. Just cram the food in your mouth before the chef finds it suspicious. This food has got to be the cause of the disappearance. I bet the revolting taste drove them crazy and made them wander off. I'm cutting your salary. What? By 25%. Ah, detective, please. I took a pipe out of my inner coat pocket. The case may be stuck for the moment, but it should end well somehow. With such optimism, I started smoking. I'm a fixer from District 14. Decently experienced grade 5, currently working for 7. The association specializing in intelligence and investigation operations. I solve mysteries for a living, though most of these unsolved cases are about the distortion anyway. The city still seems to be mostly clueless about the distortion. I simply jumped into this budding niche earlier than others thanks to my cursed talent. Seeing people's distortions. So, what did the chef look like to you, detective? The lower half of their body was that of the lower half of their body was that of a snake, and hands were attached on its tail. Zzz. It had about 7 tails, if I remember correctly. Ugh. What about their upper body? Was it human? Yep. I could see a human in a filthy chef's uniform. Does that mean the distortion has progressed by about half? Maybe it'll manifest in a week or so. It could very well happen tonight. Judging from the circumstances, the mouth on one of those tails was salivating and twitching quite intensely. Anyways, we're dealing with a reptilian, right? Let's see. A Stigma workshop product could work. You always pick expensive gadgets. Wait, Stigma. Oh my god. What was that one card in Arena? like, stigmatized. That's right. Wait, hold on. That was with, Lulu's office, then. So, okay. Alright, coming up to things. I'm realizing stuff about the game. You always pick expensive gadgets. The pattern of the distortion has been changing lately. Manifestations are getting faster. No, to be precise, the distortion has started to manifest even while people are unconscious. That's right. Their bodies distort in their sleep. This seems to happen with people who are half distorted from what I can see. A sloppy monster can only cause sloppy trouble. Dawn Office 2. Dawn Office in general. Yeah, it was a Philip card. That's right. They use the Stigma Workshop weaponry. They're famous for the fire. The Zwei Association gave my office a request. People have been disappearing at night inside a certain hotel in the area the association has been safeguarding. Recording was forbidden in the back streets of District 14, so there's no video footage available. The hotel only has 2 entrances, the main gate and the back door through the kitchen. None of the missing guests were seen leaving through the main gate. The hotel wasn't assaulted by a syndicate either, which was obvious considering that the Zwei were in charge of that area. Detective. Maybe something's really up with the kitchen. Its chef was the most distorted person around, so it's plausible. The sun sets and night falls. We infiltrated the hotel restaurant. The ferry I spent a fortune on enters the keyhole and opens the door for us. Sometimes singularities feel much more like monsters than the half-baked creatures of the distortion. Wow. They having a party or something? What are they eating? Under a red light, skinless hunks of flesh were sitting around a table, eating something. The only dish on the table was something that looked like a large leather sack. They each grabbed something from the sack and eat it. The putrid smell stings my nose. My mind falters for a moment. Turn around. Do not look at the thing they're eating. Don't breathe. This is driving me mad, Detective. It looks so cozy in there. It looks like a bedroll. You'll be eaten and turned into manure once you get into that bedroll. Alright, goodbye, I cannot draw. Ezra was completely entranced. I smacked her in the chest as quietly as I could. I gave Ezra a handkerchief so she could cover her nose. Keep it tight. We're heading to the kitchen now. I love the art. I love how it's still very, very similar to Library of Ruina. Leaving behind the feast, we crawled toward the kitchen. A long line of people waited in front of it. Those were the people reported to be missing. They enter the kitchen, one by one. Then human-shaped flesh hunks walk out, each carrying a leather sack. They bring it to their table and eat from it. The food that bewitches people, huh? What could they be eating, Detective? It's time to find out. Get ready, Assistant. So, just for y'all, if y'all don't know, the fairies are essentially... Welcome, Hermes. The fairies are essentially like the antithesis to J-Corp's ability to lock anything. The fairies can open anything, whether that be physically, metaphorically, or conceptually. Ezra took a Stigma Workshop sword out of her bag. I pulled out my smoking pipe. The door leading to the kitchen is wide open. People lining up for their sack pay no attention to us. They're simply mumbling to themselves. We proceed slowly. We're going in. I can hear the sound of kitchenware at work. The chef is busy cooking something, holding multiple cooking utensils with the hands that are on their tails. What could they be cooking? What are they feeding those people with? Detective. People are bowing to the chef to show their heads. The chef is splitting them open and taking something out? It doesn't look like a brain. They aren't extracting the brain itself. They're pulling something out of it. Could it be thoughts? How is that possible? That's what the distortion is all about. Unseeable things are materialized. That means they're giving away their thoughts to the chef, so the chef can cook them, and the chef also peels their skin to use as the sack. That's pretty wicked. My eyes met the chef's gaze. Hey, you're the insane bunch I saw earlier today. If you want to eat, then line up. The taste's gonna be nothing like the stuff you ate before. What are you feeding these people? I'm giving them what they want. I cook thoughts. People these days don't even know what they're thinking. So, they need someone else to cook those thoughts up for... So they need someone else to cook those thoughts up and feed them. You've already killed people. A case of the distortion that is capable of murder would be, according to the standards of our office setup, a risk level 3 distortion. Welcome, Vicious. Welcome, Legai. Kill. They aren't dead. They're having a feast, don't you see? Ordinary food isn't enough to make people happy anymore. You gotta know who you are and what kind of world you're living in to truly savor the flavor. You know, as a chef myself, I can kind of understand that in a way. You speak in my truth. This is almost like a cheap urban myth. You've gone too far. Wah, detective. The fleshy things in the restaurant all came here. You just haven't tried it yet. I'll show you how your thoughts taste. Ezra, take them down. The Stigma Workshop sword emits an orange glow. The wire on its blade heats up. Each time Ezra swings the sword, one of the hunks of flesh falls to the floor. The heated wire leaves beautiful symbols through the sections it slices. A trademark feature of the Stigma Workshop's products. The smell of burnt meat soon fills the kitchen. I'm not going to distort stealthily. Fairies are kind of little gadgets. I don't think they're living things. I mean, they're made through singularity, so they I don't know. No clue yet. I do know that Bina's combat pages use fairies, you know? A sentient case of the distortion that willingly harms others is ultimately subjected to termination. We sometimes encounter distortions that we can't take down on our own, but most of them can still be dealt with in some manner. This kind is especially simple. Have you tried your own cooking, then? Self-contradiction. Distortions that damage others while claiming to care for them are bound to face irony. So you're feeding others with a dish you haven't even tried yourself. What makes you so confident in its taste, My cooking has to be tasty. All the customers look sad and sulky even when I serve them with the most delicious food before. It's because they didn't think for themselves. You can tell if the food is tasty just from a person's face. Someone who doesn't try their own cooking isn't a real chef. Fine. I'll eat it. I will eat my own food. There we go. That's the spirit of a true chef. The chef split open their own head. They put their hand under the brain and pulled out something glowy. As soon as the chef was done taking all the thoughts out, they collapsed onto the floor. Just like that, the chef passed away before they could taste their own thoughts. Detective, I took care of them all. I'm done with my share, too. Should we contact the Zwei Association? Now? Yeah, just write up a short report. They won't believe all this fuss about cooking thoughts anyways. Go get some sleep first. Got it. So, they literally just told him to lobotomize himself. Hilarious. Alright, welcome. You're a chef? Yes, actually. But my actual job, IRL, is a chef. I do a lot of cooking. You might be able to see some of my works in like various different PM servers and whatnot, especially in mine. Anyways, next day. Good morning, Detective Moses. You're a bit later than usual today, huh? Yeah. The line at Ham Ham Pong Pong was long today. I guess everyone wants to check it out since the first to open in the north of the city. Oh, Ham Ham Pun Pun. Did you get some for me too? Yeah, got one for you just in case. You liked mustard, right? Mustard flavor is great. Ah, that's why I sent us to the roar just now. That quick? It only took them a day. I bet they scamped the paperwork. Anyway, to sum up this case, it was about an unappreciated cook who wanted to bring joy to the people in their own twisted way. It was a crude story. We've had to deal with the distortions a lot on our own more often these days, now that I think about it. Why are the Wings and the other associations so passive about it? Monsters are actually appearing. Because none of them were noteworthy enough to even be an urban plague. Well, the pianist being the sole exception. Still, shouldn't someone do something about this? It's like a ticking time bomb. I bet a lot more people die to syndicates than to the Distortion. By the way, you're not actually going to cut my salary, are you? That stupid chef's food was really the cause. Psh, try using that memory for something better. That good memory for something better. I can hear you. And that is chapter 2. They took care of the that distortion. I don't think they've given it a name. And still, it's this is kind of why I like the Project Moon universe. Just the fact that there is outlandish stuff like people cooking thoughts. I could never come up with something like that. I don't have the creativity for that. Oh god, y'all are hearing everything. Need to turn on some more, there we go. Okay. If a distortion can be dealt with without someone actually distorting it, will need a name. But they are already distorted, though, didn't they? Like a dragon? You mean like Yakuza? Yeah, that's funny. Can't imagine 10-hour days. Chat, I'm sorry, but like, you ever done a 36-hour day before? Just saying. Just saying. Chapter 3. The Photographer. And I Simply Remember. A detective office for unsolved cases located in a 3-story building somewhere in the streets of District 4. It's a mystery how people manage to find their way into my humble office. There's rumors of a haunted alleyway. People who pass it by disappear. How do they disappear exactly? Ezra asked curiously. No one knows who disappeared, or how. All we know is that someone disappeared, somehow. Then, either way, it's a memory manipulator, or a reality warper. But detective, I thought reality warpers only existed in your theories. This might as well be our opportunity to see one for the first time. What's this all about? It's just our jargon. Where do they go missing, by the way? Ezra changed the topic before the client could ask further. It's somewhere around the Plaza of Cherished Hopes. It's not too far from here. How did you know that people went missing? Used vehicles and objects were found abandoned in the street, like bicycles and cars. And most of all, the furniture in my attic was sorted, as if someone had been living there until today. That means one of your family members has disappeared. Huh? But there's only 3 people in my family. And they're all fine. Me and my husband and my child. We'll see if we investigate it. What if there really was another family member? I've forgotten, like you said. And if they're dead, the culprit should be killed. That's rather stern. Well then, we should start discussing the request fee. Ezra's eyes sparkled as she spoke. I left the financial management of our office to her. She has enough wits to figure out how serious or tough a request will be, so I can trust her to lead negotiations like this. I headed out to the terrace while Ezra and the client were busy bargaining. I smoked from my pipe, feeling the acrid breeze of the back streets. Still, this air is much clearer compared to the messy atmosphere during the smoke war. Distorted creatures walk the streets as always. Wondering how long I'll be doing this, I puff tobacco smoke. Detective, I'm done writing the contract. The client went back to her home. Plaza of Cherished Hopes, was it? Get ready. Yes, Chief. Do I bring the usual gadgets? Ezra asks as she stuffed equipment into her dimensional bag. Sure. I'm stuffy today. I walk along the street with Ezra. The time is 2 p.m. Ta-da! Here we are at the Plaza of Cherished Hopes. What do we do now? Wait till the night falls? This case appears to be a location-type distortion. Judging from the client's description, a powerful distortion can affect its surroundings as well, assimilating nearby objects into it. We should look for any distorted buildings. But only you can see those weird buildings, Detective. What can I do? See if there's abandoned bikes around here, maybe. Windows with eyes, apartments floating in the air, doors with teeth, rooms filled with water. There are a lot more distorted buildings than it seems. It would be quite a sight if they manifest all at once. Now, which building to investigate first? I don't have any specific criteria set in mind. Some deduction and intuition are all it usually takes to figure it out. This one is a case of the distortion that devours people whole. The victims are soon forgotten by others. Why were they attracted to the distortion? I need the profiles of the missing people. But if no one knows who disappeared, it'll be difficult to figure out their common traits. Ezra, look for a place around here that provides goods or services for free. What, for free? Does that kind of place even exist? Preferably a place where people who don't have a job would go. And that is why it's easier to figure out. The distortions of the city are actually rather simple to understand. Ah, there it is. A place called Lumiere Soup Kitchen. Is it sponsored by anyone? Nope, it seems to be run by an individual. Lead me there. People who are destined to be forgotten in the city will naturally be attracted to free meals. Isn't this a photo studio? What? It looks like a worn-out tent, though. It's a distortion. Does that really look like a photo studio to you, Detective? Mm-hmm. An aged studio. So this is the soup kitchen, right? Yep. The description says they give away free meals to children or the elderly who are too poor to afford anything else. Do we use the ferry to enter? Huh? Don't you know how expensive it is to recharge the ferry? This isn't just an ordinary tent camp. All we gotta do is walk in. I ask because I'm seeing a door sealed with a lock. I don't like how you talk back. I'll be cutting off your salary. Guys, be careful. She will literally cut your salary immediately. May I ask if Distortion Detective is after Arena, or do the two play out at the same time? I believe that they happen at the same time. I can't confirm this. I cannot confirm this. I'm just kidding. Aren't you having too much fun with that? It shakes my heart, even if it's a joke. Say, should we wait till night? We can interfere with the distortion that's manifested this much already. What are we waiting for then? Hold on. You shouldn't just barge into a closed-off section of someone else's mind. I walked up the door and gently knocked on it. Soon enough, the door was unlocked. Let's get inside. What did you just do? The entrance opened up on its own. I simply showed courtesy. You told me not to use the ferry or anything, so all I could do was knock on the locked door. A photo studio set up inside a wooden building. The whole building exudes the smell of hardwood, and large frames fill up the walls. Wow, it's much bigger on the inside? Now I see why you said it looks like a photo studio, Detective. I guess it's visible to you now. Could those photos on the wall be the missing people? Perhaps. Each frame held a picture of corpses, various photographs of dead people. One common feature is that they had all died indoors. Ooh, look at that. Beautiful art. Beautiful. This room is breathing. I can feel its respiration, its beat. No one knows how many people this room has devoured. A dying elderly person stands before me. A lonely old person whose breath is fainter than the room's. Forgotten by others, this aged person has brought and taken in people. As the doddering one faded from everyone's memories, so too did the people they took in. Not a single person knows them. They were here, dying all alone. This is a place of memorial. A person whose head turned into a camera greeted us from behind. The 4 lenses on their head rotated disorderly, fixing their gaze on me. Yikes! Surprised Ezra fell on the floor. I remember each person in their photograph. I take pictures of them and frame them. Who are you? I'm a photographer. I believe I should be the one asking who you two are, in fact. This is Moses, the Distortion detective. And I'm the talented sidekick, Ezra. She speaks with confidence, revealing our identity so shamelessly. We're fixers. We actually got a request about recent cases of disappearance. So they do realize some people have gone missing. What's the point of it all, though? They were already treated like invisible people before they even disappeared. Did you lure them here with free meals to kill them? Ezra questions the person while looking at them with suspicion. No, I didn't. I'm simply remembering people who are bound to be forgotten. Like Mrs. Agnes over there. I take pictures of them so that they can be memorialized in this room. The old person standing before us must be Agnes. She's staring at the pictures hanging on the wall, letting out heavy breaths. There are so many people who die alone. I realized that as I worked, so I want to remember them. What, we're kidnapping people? No, not at all. My work was accompanied by an awful stench. When its neighbors report the smell, I go and retrieve the body. So you were a mortician who usually dealt with people that died lonely deaths. Yes, my work was to look for such bodies in the streets of District 14 and direct funerals for them, as part of the welfare plans of N-Corp's Nest. I've arranged funerals for 253 people, and not a single mourner showed up at all of them. I decided to take one last photograph of the dead before I retrieved their bodies, so that I at least could remember them. So you weren't running this soup kitchen from the beginning? I got fired. N-Corp's Nest said that they don't need a useless undertaker like me. Funerals are for the living, after all. I'd meet the same fate, since I don't have anyone to remember me. For a life to be meaningful, the memories have to be passed on somehow. So we've decided to remember each other. Remember that we existed and lived in this city. You are distorted. What you've been doing is kidnapping people to come to your tent for free meals. Nothing more. You aren't one to decide whether they'll die alone or not. But it's obvious. It's so apparent that they'll all die in their own rooms, abandoned and forgotten by all. We'll remember each other and be forgotten in peace. We have the right to not be neglected by everyone so ruthlessly. And rob the people who still do remember them from their memories. You've just kidnapped people who are in the same shoes as you because you yourself were afraid of being forgotten. You took away their chances to be remembered. The lenses on their heads started rotating all of a sudden. I dodged to the side as soon as I heard the sound of something starting to run. Snap. I fell on my knees and faltered on the floor. My whole body feels numb, and sharp pain strikes my head. Detective, stay away from the lens. Don't let it take a full picture of you. The sounds of the lens rotating and film being reloaded can be heard. When it takes a photo of someone, it draws out something from that person. I feel a acute twinge all over my body, as if numerous spikes were stabbing me. I remember a few that inflicted this kind of pain. Ezra, I'm putting up a smoke screen. Yes, Chief. I took out the smoke pipe from my coat and blew out as hard as possible. Shh. The smoke covers the whole room. Snap, snap, snap. The camera flash goes off in random directions with each snap. Snap. Detective, what are we going to do now? The type that shouldn't be allowed to see. I mustn't let it contain us in its sight. What's in your bag today? The usual: Stigma Workshop sword, Alice Workshop gloves, Kuri gloves, Nestor hammer, and throw the Kuri gloves at me. Got it. Only Ezra can see me through this thick smoke. A pair of sky blue gloves fly across the room, and I snatched them right away. I put on the gloves and slammed the wall with my hand. The wall begins to freeze over. Snap, snap. I took a deep breath through my pipe. The smoke that had filled the room is sucked back into the pipe. A shiny wall of ice reveals itself. Snap. The lens flashed, taking a picture of its own reflection on the icy wall. Crack. The photographer fell down, cracks showing up on its head and lenses. You made others be forgotten because you didn't want to sink into oblivion alone. Perhaps, maybe I was the only one who had completely lost their chance to be remembered, after all. How many people have you locked in here? 57. Can you recover them? Yes, I can. Then your life is spared at least. Bring them back now. But who will be there to remember me now? We will. Thank you. The photographer's head returned to normal, only a single eye retaining the shape of a lens. The studio regressed to a tent, now full of people. The distortion was solved. We found the missing family member. He's the one, right? The client doesn't look too happy. Oh, yeah, my father's back. No wonder I forgot. Well then, shall we transact the remainder? Ezra counted the money with a smile, while the client and her father headed back, looking depressed. No one would welcome the outcome of this request. They'd have much preferred to just forget about the people who eventually made it back. They'd murmur to themselves about how they wish those people would disappear forever. I heard later that 28 people's worth of smoke quietly billowed out from crematoriums of back streets in N-Corp's Nest one day. And I simply remember, any subscriptions or financial support will be greatly appreciated and allow for more content to be created. Oh, that's not even a part of the chapter. God damn it. I was about to say, it's like, damn, really? That's what you're going to remember? That's my fucking channel advertisement. But that's also a wild distortion. Like, holy shit. It reminds me of Coco in a way. Like instead of it being like happy though, it is how do I put it? It's very somber and realistic, kind of realistic. Like, what would you do if you suddenly remembered a person that is like supposed to be a major part of your life, but then you've lived all this part of your life without even recognizing that you're still in it? I think I said 58. I said 58. Definitely said 58. And if you go back and rewind, then I'm gaslighting you right now. Let's see. Let's take a look and see if there's been any other song additions. Because I feel like that we've been listening to this for, like, forever. Oh, yeah, we have. Nothing new right now, but that's fine. Oh, welcome Heathcliff. Welcome to the chat. We just finished up reading chapter 3. About to move on to chapter 4. Getting through 3 chapters in an hour is pretty good. If there's only 40 chapters, that means that we can finish this book in probably about a month and a half. If we're doing like 2-hour streams. Maybe longer. This is the longest that I've ever read in a minute. Don't give Heathcliff a cat. He's going to stuff it into a coffin or a sack. Won't be able to stay for the rest of the stream. That's okay, get Doxfer. You can, if you want to read along later, you can check out the VOD. It'll be posted. Chapter 4. An Unwelcome Guest. Han Hee-jun. Greetings, Dr. Moses. It's been a while. An unwelcome guest visited me. An associate fixer in the Section 2 of the 7's Southern Branch. And my former assistant, Hee-jun. Their eyes are just as arrogant as I remember. Must feel good to be playing in the big leagues way above me, doesn't it? Oh, not at all. Hello, Hee-jun Seonbae. Ezra, you tactless dork. I hope you realize how much they're looking down on us by now. What are you doing here, heading north all the way up here from the south part of the city? Must be a complete mess down there with L-Corp collapsing. You're sharp as always, Doctor. I'm actually here because of that. What? Look, I'm just too old to get myself involved with the wings. The distortion. You can still see it, right? I would have closed this office otherwise. I wonder how I appear to you then. Snobby prick. Always asking questions I'm not comfortable with. Well, your mouth is sewn up, it seems. Perhaps just because you're actually going to be zipped up soon enough? I actually can't see their face at all. Other than the 2 eyes floating in the air. Ha! You haven't changed at all. Don't you need some funds? Do I look like I'm in a financial crisis? Then why else would you be doing work as silly as the Distortion Detective? I see. It's because you still can't forget about what you did back then. You still regret that, don't you? That's enough! Shut up, Hee-jun Seonbae. Ezra grabbed Han Hee-jun by the collar. The uncanny smile in their eyes still wouldn't go away. Let them speak on. Ezra and I were the only ones to survive your rampage that day. You are essentially responsible for our lives, Doctor. What do you want me to do? Bite my tongue and die? I can't have you die on us so easily. You still owe us so much debt. Get to the point. Why did you come all the way here from the south? I want you to head down there for a while. The Southern Branch is dealing with troubling incidents that are suspected to be cases of the Distortion. We need your ability, Doctor. And please, stop with your shabby attempts to solve your cases. What we want is the Distortion manifesting in its whole. Don't try to restore them. Just leave them be until they fully distort. What, is the 7 into human experiments now? I suppose you could put it that way. I've reserved 2 warp tickets departing from N-Corp's nest in 2 months, so take the train and visit our associate office once that time comes. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Is it a request directly assigned from the 7 Association? Yes, it's an urban nightmare class. You're free to deny it, of course. You don't care too much about belonging to associations after all. But you might be able to meet a certain person at the end of this request. Leave the tickets here and sod off. I look forward to seeing you, Doctor. Hee-jun left, once again smirking with their eyes. Ezra, throw some salt out the door or something. We don't have any salt in the office, though. Should I go buy some? You know what? I gotta buy some. I knew this day would come. The office feels like a devastated war zone after that snob swept by. I keep smoking until the evening, fighting the memories of my past. Ezra, bring me a map of the city. Yes, Chief. But don't we have an officially printed map here? One sec, please. I'll try drawing one up. She's passionate in weird areas. And that's what makes her fit to be my assistant. Here, it's done. I made it using Picture Store. You call this a map? Well, it works. Somebody drew this. Somebody drew this with a mouse and keyboard on MS Paint. I haven't seen this image before. This is a far cry from what we've seen. Oh my god. Like, I guarantee you. Hold on. I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's pretty accurate. Hold on. One. Yeah, there we go. Oh, no. Oh my god, we all depended on this map before Limbus. That's sad. That's very sad. I'm sorry. I guarantee you this was absolutely just thrown in right at the end. This had to have been thrown in just like a joke. That's awesome though. That's fucking hilarious. For all just the audio listeners here, it's essentially just a crudely drawn map of the city that you see in Limbus Company, but this came first, so it's more like the Limbus Company was a high-quality version of this shit. We live in District 14, which belongs to N-Corp's Nest. Taking a warp train is the only feasible way to get into District 11 in K-Corp's Nest. I frankly want nothing to do with the white tie fixers in the south, but at the end of the day, I have no choice but to go. All because I committed an irreversible misdeed. 2 months later, huh? Heejun Sionbei said that this was related to L-Corp. Then why aren't we just going straight to District 12 where L-Corp used to be? I heard L-Corp's nest has already fallen into absolute anarchy. They probably called us to stay in a safe place that's relatively close to it. The warp platform in L-Corp's nest likely stopped operating anyways. Detective, are you really going to just drop solving distortions once we get there? Are we just going to kill them? That's not up to me to decide. It will depend on the severity of the distortion. But what if we ran into a distortion that could be reversed if we tried? We can think about that later. There's still time, so let's do our work as usual for now. Got it. I'll fetch our next request. Okay, so interesting. Shorter chapter. Definitely a shorter chapter. But I guess this is kind of like a timeline drop. I would imagine, since there's no, like, the library hasn't necessarily been mentioned. So there's no mention of, like, the mist either. But this is also, like, in the sense of the pianist. So this has to be after the White Nights and Dark Days. But I think it's before Angela's ego of the library is formed. Do the distortion office thingy is an N-Corp. Yes, it's not in N-Corp. It's not a part of it. It's just they're part of the Seven Association. But as far as, like, where it is, this is, like, hold on. It's like you can see it right next to the F Corp, like District 11. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14, it's right here. So right between F and G, D, or O, fuck. I thought it was only like a few months. This was before Cromer was in control. I guarantee you, this happened like whenever Sinclair and Cromer were like fucking children. Because this happened like... This occurred 10 years before Cromer was even, like, a thing. like, even relevant, I guess. Maybe this is whenever they were in high school. What's the line going around the city? I guess I would assume that's, like, just the border between, like, because there is no District 26. This is, like, District 26 is just considered to be the outskirts. Anyways, returning. We can return to the next one. The mock chapter 5. Chapter 5. Mock exam. The exam has begun. It's been a week since Han Hee-jun stirred up a storm in my head. There's no point in being ambivalent about going there. I know that I have no other option. What am I agonizing for, then? Detective. This request is about a high school. Ezra spoke in a cheery tone as usual. A school? Was it requested by its faculty or the principal? No, this student here is our client. Hello, my name is Meryl. The girl shyly standing behind Ezra introduced herself. One of her legs is composed of numbers. What's your school? I'm not sure if a student from the back streets even has enough money to make a request to our office. Detective, actually. She's a client. I mean, a student from a private high school inside N-Corp's nest. A student from a private school in the nest. The allowance these kids regularly get from their parents would be more than enough to pay us. I'm willing to play with those rich kids in their little detective games as long as the request fee is paid. So, what problem does our young client want us to solve? Actually, something strange is happening to our school. Important exam is ahead of us, and everyone's on edge preparing for college admissions. High school students in the nest should aim for universities in the nest, as a matter of course. The college scholastic ability test, held in most nests every year. This one exam determines a myriad of things. Getting low scores going into a college in the backstreets won't do you any good. Entering any college in the nest is pretty much the baseline requirement for joining a wing. So the strange events happening in the school must be disturbing your studies, and you want us to resolve it, right? It's not just about my grades. My friends got weird. The whole school is weird. The students, and the teachers too. We need you to let us know what kind of strange occurrences are taking place before we can be of any help. They won't go back home at all. The classes won't end. All of the students? Yes, all of them. Ugh. What about you? Oh, Only I could escape. I was in a classroom when I came to my senses. It was past midnight. A teacher was watching us from the front of the class, and my friends were all absorbed in study, solving problems in workbooks. Aren't parents worried about their children not coming back home? Ezra asked, confused by the apparent strangeness. It's Suneyoung CSAT soon enough. Our school's average scores for the mock test made it the top 10 in our nest. The parents must have been okay with however the school treated their kids as long as their grades were improving. How long has this anomaly been going on? The last thing I remember before I lost myself was 2 months ago. It was the day when the school announced they'd be making a scholarship class. They said students with the highest grades would be selected. A distortion that has lasted for 2 months. We should go there and see what's going on ourselves. Ezra, we're heading into the nest. Yes, Chief. I'll get the fixer license and the association certificate. I don't really feel like staying in N-Corp's nest any longer than necessary. A place full of buildings painted in pure white. I'd end up going crazy in no time if I lived there. The squarish five-story building is also in white. Through the white gate is a white schoolyard. The school is dead silent. And something foreign catches my eye. A red number floating on the top of the roof, on the rooftop of the school. 5. Meryl, what is that number on top of the school building? Ah, that shows how many days are left until this year's final mock exam. It's painted in a menacing blood red. But detective, the number's white, just like the rest of the school, though. It's a distortion. Red liquid drips from the number sign. Are there any procedures for us outsiders to take before entering? There are, but I don't think anyone cares right now. When we enter the school building, a noise can be heard. Scritch, scratch. The noise grows louder and more frequent. Scritch, scratch, scribble, scribble, scritch, scratch, scratch, and it keeps going faster and faster and faster. It hurts my head. What is this grating noise? It's the sound of students in each class solving problems on worksheets. They press the pencils against the paper so hard when they write. I look through the windows of a class designated 1-7. 40 students had their heads fixed inches above their desks, only their hands moving briskly. What do those students look like to you, detective? Amalgamations of numbers in school uniforms. Yeesh, that means the distortion has progressed by a lot, right? They're pretty much distorted already. What do you mean by distorted? That means the strange events you described are happening in real life. Something showed up from the end of the corridor. It was a moving wall big enough to blockade the corridor completely. Warning, warning. Students who do not study will face disciplinary action. Detective, it's a distortion. I can see it too. A formula is written on the wall. A distortion made of math problems. This world is never short of oddities, is it? This one seems to be a calculus problem. Ezra, can you solve that problem for us? No. Why did I even bother asking? Accounting is the only good kind of calculations he's good at. How about you, Meryl? Well, I'm more of a humanities major. Behind us is a dead end. We have to break through anyhow. All we have to do is solve that math problem on the wall, but no one is up for it. Guess it's up to me now. I took out my ballpoint pen and wrote down an answer on the approaching wall. Wrong answer. You will now attend supplementary lessons. Now. Knew it. The wall pressed against us. So this is how it feels. I should get someone smarter to be my assistant next time. My consciousness fades. When I woke up, I found myself sitting at a desk in a classroom, wearing the school's uniform. Students around me are still busy solving problems on the worksheets. How much time has passed? A red number 30 floats in the center of the classroom. The last one I saw read 5. Does that mean we've traveled back to the past? Could this be a case of distortion that can reverse the flow of time? A sudden burst of force pressed my forehead from behind. My face was slammed right on the desk. So, she isn't just a be-all, end-all being able to solve all distortions. I'm kind of glad that, there's no... she's not a Mary... That Moses isn't like a Mary Sue, or neither is Ezra. However, I knew that math was evil. Solve the problems. An oppressive voice ordered me. I skimmed through the worksheet on my desk. Blending 3 humans in a mixer generates 10 units of energy. Given these conditions, what is the optimal solution to dismember 2 humans to generate 15 units of energy? Chiolsu wants to be an artist. The wing Chiolsu has to go to does not need any artists. Given these conditions, how many dreams did Chiolsu kill? There is a cube composed of minuscule humans. The cube factory must meet a certain quota each day. An eyeball can be squeezed for a hexagon. When O is the outer center of the left eye, how many right eyes are needed to make a cube with side links that are at least 4 meters long? A distorted school giving out distorted problems. They must constantly print out meaningless problems that will be solved without any significance. Detective, I have no idea what any of these problems say. Ezra's seat was right next to mine. She's looking at me, her face on the verge of tears. I barely lift my head and look at the number again. 17. So that was in minutes, not days. Let's just wait until the exam starts. Just write down random things on the worksheet for now. A voice could be heard again. You have 10 minutes until the mock exam starts. You must strive to solve as many problems as possible. This is all for the sake of your future. The problems you solve now will be your weapons later in life. The number reached 0. Ding dong dang dong. Commencing the mock exam. With that announcement, the school crumbled. All that remained were the students on a white plain. Then a tall staircase rose from the middle of the field. A trophy was placed on top of it. The exam has begun. Detective, is this a distortion too? I can't believe this. It seems it's time to update my information about the distortion phenomenon. Keep it together, detective. We gotta run for now. It appears that a massive world of its own can be created when the interests of desires in a large group of people coincide. This is my first time seeing a distortion occur at this scale. Mass distortion. This entire school is distorted. No, not the school building itself. Every student in it is distorted. All the students run toward the staircase, trying to climb up it. Some try to nail down the students ahead of them, while others push away the students behind them. The numbers add and subtract each other. They multiply and divide by each other. Decimal points pour out of their bodies. This is a war zone for a very vicious battle. A war where everyone recognizes each other as numbers. No other words are needed. In this scene of numerical violence, they must add to themselves and divide others. The problems they've solved so far become weapons to kill off each other. When a student assaults another with the numbers on the victim's head fall off. The numbers students won't attack us. Perhaps lowly numbers sitting at the bottom of the staircase like us aren't worth their attention. Hey, fixers, I'm up here. It's Meryl. Her distortion progressed much more in the short time span when we were separated from her. She was already halfway to the top of the stairs. Meryl, you should come back down here, Ezra yelled. Meryl, there's no reason to climb those stairs. This is a war, a gamble. Fighting against each other with no knowledge and grades on the line. If you don't climb the stairs, you'll be safe from it. No, I'll stay here. We all agreed on this to decide who gets to advance the scholarship class. Meryl replied, killing the other students. You're taking part in this massacre? I'm already halfway there, though. I can go farther. A 7 struck Meryl's head out of nowhere. The numbers in Meryl's head scattered about as she fell on the floor. Thud, thud, thud. I can hear the sounds of numerous students hitting the floor. The noises of students killing each other. Ezra has turned away from the sight, looking at the floor. I silently continue to watch the staircase. A student with a giant number for a head reached the top of the stairs at last. The exam is over. Knowledge and grades will be redistributed to students based on how high they are on the staircase. The top 20% will be designated as the scholarship class and receive the honor of representing our school. With a flash, the school returned to normal. The students were all in their seats as if nothing had happened. I can see Meryl among them. Meryl, are you all right? Ezra ran toward Meryl to check on her. Meryl gave us a blank stare, muttering meaningless words. She's had everything taken from her. This is absurd. It was a consequence of Meryl's own choice. There's no need for you to feel guilty about it. But let's just head back. We couldn't solve this distortion. We can't expect to solve every problem in the world. I took out my pipe from its inner coat pocket. Why are distorted people also irrational? They're too extreme. They distort because their minds are driven into a corner. That impatience leads to heaps in their logic. 40% of this school's graduates are said to be living in seclusion, having failed to enter any college. However, the scholarship class demonstrated that an unprecedented amount of successful admissions for prestigious universities, bringing the school fame and many more inquiries for entrance. The students who successfully climb the stairs, up the stairs, killing each other, will grow into the feathers of the wings. Fluttering those wings, the city soars. Wow. So, who knew math could be so fucking metal? That is insane. You know what? Honestly, I think I don't want to be reading for too long. So I think this is actually a pretty good place to stop at. Like a pretty good chapter. That's yeah. But wow, what have I been missing out on from reading? That's kind of wild. Damn. Well, somebody tell Dino Dave or something that Distortion Detective is real, I guess. Definitely a shorter stream, but I don't want to be streaming for too long today. I got plenty of other plans. To all those that were sticking along with me, thank you for joining me at this time, reading Distortion Detective. We will be coming back probably next week, hopefully on Sunday for a shorter one. Well, not shorter, but just another short stream like that, like this. I really enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this live stream, because it'll be turned into a VOD. Decaying Flesh, yes, there will be more. Not tomorrow. Next time we're going to be continuing with Chapter 6, that being, where is it? Smoking Pipe. I let out a crimson red breath. So until then, I will see you all later.